So that, ladies and gentlemen, was a fine example of a mistake. They say mistakes are your greatest teacher in every aspect of life, and I truly do believe so, as I too was molded by a mistake. When I was about 10 years old, I joined my local speaking club, a very small one. I joined, and there were around 20 people, nearly my age. It was my first day there, and my coach came up to me and told, maybe it's better if you sat it out this time, and just observed. I, however, confident in my amazing public speaking skills, insisted. Now there I was, eagerly waiting for my turn. One by one, the people before me got up, spoke, and sat down, each of them celebrating their successful speech, and why would they not? One after the other, my turn grew closer. And once it was time, I blanked. I stuttered and stood in the same awkward way as I did in the beginning of this speech. Those 10 seconds of silence turned to 1 minute, 2, then 3. Eventually, out of embarrassment, I decided to sit down. In disbelief, I sat there, feeling a multitude of emotions, be it fear, sadness, but most of all, determination. The determination to come back stronger, to learn from this mistake. Now, after my speech, my coach came up to me and even commended me. He told that it was good for you to at least take up and rise for the challenge. Those are simple words, one that even I would have given if I was in his position. However, those stuck with me. It motivated me to learn from my mistakes, not only in public speaking, but in life as a whole. Now, the Jean Piaget theory of cognitive growth states that children grow through phases, and one of the most influential factors of their growth is mistakes. The ability to look past their errors and grow, focusing on what's ahead. I would like to have a show of hands in the audience. Who here has tried something and failed miserably at it? I expect a bit of... All right. Keep your hands raised if you think you learned something from it you couldn't have learned any other way. I'd go ahead. I'm enjoying to see so many hands raised. Now, back to the Jean Piaget theory. This applies to me as a person. As on that day, I could have easily thought, maybe public speaking is not my thing. Maybe I should have stayed in the sidelines, safe from the spotlight, safe from the embarrassment. But I didn't. I pushed harder every day, taking small steps, be it talking to the mirror, listening to recordings of myself. And now, I'm here, talking to this wonderful audience. That is why when I got the theme, mistakes meant to make, it really clicked with me and took me back to this very day when I made this mistake. Now, we know that mistakes can sometimes go beyond just teachers. They can even spark creativity. Some of the greatest inventions in history were complete accident. For example, Alexander Fleming. He discovered penicillin when he accidentally contaminated one of his petri dishes. And instead of throwing it away, he decided to look closer at it. The result was a drug that went on to save millions of lives in the future. The humble Post-it note. It was a failed attempt to make a super sticky glue. As a result, what happened was they made a glue that could easily stick and unstick. Now, it's a resource that's available in offices all around the world. John Pemberton initially intended for Coca-Cola to be used as a medical tonic for headaches and fatigue. But just due to how much people loved the taste, it ended up becoming a drink that is enjoyed by people all around the world. The list goes on and on. Now, moving back a bit. We're taught from a young age to fear mistakes. School marks them in red. Society looks down upon it. In sports, we can lose the game. As a result, we end up thinking mistakes are bad. We try to avoid it, we try to hide it. But these stories prove to us that mistakes can be our stepping stones, and they can bring us down paths which we never once knew existed. And at the end of the day, funnily enough, people come together more often than not to talk about their failures and their successes. Why? Well, that's because failure is relatable. People connect with raw, unpolished moments of life. Even today, we're here to talk about our failures, mistakes, and how people in history learn from them. Think about it. Who here found out about Thomas Edison not because he invented the light bulb, but because of the fact that he failed 1,000 times before doing so? I am. Why is that? It's each and every one of those failures that made his success all the more meaningful, and maybe why he's remembered to this day. It proves us that mistakes are our teachers to move forward. And when one person decides to be brave enough to own up to their mistakes, it not only builds their own, builds themselves, they can also inspire others to confront their own mistakes. Now, here's something important that I've realized. It is that mistakes and regrets are two completely different things. Mistakes are the things we did wrong. It gives us a chance to learn, to grow, to try again. Regrets, however, stem from the times we missed those opportunities, the times we stayed silent because we were too scared to try. I regret nothing about standing frozen in front of that club years ago. But if I didn't, that would have been a regret. So if anything here from my speech, I want you to carry this home. It is that fall, stumble, embarrass yourself if you must, but don't live a life of regret. Because mistakes are teachers, and regrets are ghosts. And between the two, I'd rather live a life with a few scars than a life full of what-ifs. Now, to end my speech, I would like to bring you back to a moment we've all experienced. Imagine being a child. You're riding a bicycle. You're wobbling left and right, and eventually you fall. Now, tell me something. Maybe you scrape your knee. Maybe you cry. Maybe you even blame the bicycle for plotting against you. But it's that fall that makes you confident to pedal. It gives you the ability to move forward balanced. And that mistake stays with you for the rest of your life. The shy 10-year-old kid who froze up in that club room years ago is now here speaking to you. That is a testimony to mistakes. They don't silence us, they help us find our voice. Now let me ask you this. Was that mistake really a failure? Or was it a mistake meant to make? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the power of getting it wrong. This is Maatheshkaran Kirubakaran.